Well, we're back again, and we're with the Wizard and the Wizard Life, and we have a guest with questions. I'm Lou.
Hi, Lou. I'm Nancy.
Nancy, so nice to see you. This is the Wizard, obviously. Wizard, Nancy. And Nancy, you're in from out of town.
I am.
Where are you from?
I am from the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Eastern Shore of Maryland question coming right at you. Nancy, your moment with the Wizard. What would you like to ask?
What makes a great marriage, Wizard?
What makes a great marriage, Wizard? Stay tuned, buckle up.
That is a great question.
Now, Nancy, may I pause? Wizard, you have a wife?
Yes.
Children?
Yes.
Lots of them?
Yes.
Castle, the whole thing?
Yes.
All right. So I just wanted to level the dimensions.
Right.
So you want it, now let me ask this, Nancy. Do you want it in the human dimension or do you want it in the wizard dimension? Or both?
Oh, can I get both?
We'll start with the humans. Let's start in the human level, the human dimension.
So in the human dimension,
Right.
like life-gps.org, life-gps.org is a mobile app that's amazing, and it'll identify your personality in 17 seconds. We tend to like people that are like us, and we tend to fall in love with people that are opposite of us.
Did you marry the opposite?
Wizard.
The answer is yes and no.
Let's do the yes part first.
Yes, opposite in that
Now, just for those who are thinking, he's the wizard, so he knows everything. He knows the husband. That's how wizards are. See, I would have to ask questions. Wizard doesn't do that. Take it away.
so the yes is that at times, so if you're an inner quadrant personality, a chameleon, you don't know what that is.
Do you need to explain that to our viewers?
So an inner quadrant personality is like somebody who's passive aggressive. So, so passive aggressive has a bad rap, would you rather just have somebody aggressive with you? Like, people don't think through these things. And or somebody that's an expressive analytic, they have a million things and then they want to do them all perfect. So somebody wants to be a nurturer but wants to drive somebody, and so they're opposites. And so inner quadrant personalities tend to attract other inner quadrant personalities.
Got it.
So outer quadrant personalities tend to attract other outer quadrant personalities. So deep driver, will be connected to a deep amiable. Deep expressive will be connected directly to a deep analytic. But inner quadrant personalities tend to be attracted to other inner quadrant personalities.
And where can we find this personalities at?
Two places. One is life-gps.org, and then the other is dnaforpeople.com.
Got it. Back to Nancy's question. Great marriage.
So on a human level, so if you ask somebody, are you similar to their spouse, they'll have always one of two responses. They'll always go, no, no. Or they'll say, That's what they'll do. And Nancy did the latter. So she's an inner quadrant, so you know that her husband is an inner quadrant too. So
Would you agree with that, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
If she hadn't, what would that matter?
No, because you're the wizard. You know the answer.
Okay.
Go ahead. Just so.
No.
What was that thing? Go ahead. So back to Nancy.
So this is where there's confusion because, she thinks a lot, he thinks a lot. They both care a lot about people, so they both tend to be more amiable, and analytic. But Nancy can be really driven, and at times Alan can show those types of things. Sometimes Alan doesn't want to speak the truth, like he doesn't want to be direct, but sometimes,
like most guys,
but other times he's really direct, and so it's like it's confusing for Nancy.
So when Nancy goes back to Maryland, her big question, she wants to really have that marriage that she wants to have. What are you going to give her?
Well,
She's
on a human
she's got
level,
time to travel,
right.
time to think through this.
On a human
You can always
level.
come back to the video. Go ahead.
On a human level, she wants to be really clear on what she wants in that marriage. Like what is my ideal marriage? Like, what do I want in my marriage? What do I really, really, really want in my marriage? And so, to be really, really clear herself, then she needs to say, okay, this is what I want. How do I know my husband so well where I can give him what he wants and he will give me what I want? I'm responsible for knowing the marriage. It's not my husband's responsibility or my wife's responsibility to know what kind of marriage I want. It's my responsibility to know what kind of a marriage, I want. And then I need to know my spouse so well where if I'm not getting what I want in my marriage, again, you have to know what you want first. So you have to know what you want. And then you start turning it into a game of fun and say, okay, I didn't get what I want. Why didn't I get what I want? That's my responsibility. And then you start learning your spouse, because then you start, like, leverage. You're taking the course, unbelievable course, right? Leverage, the magical arts of positive motivation and manipulation, positive. So it's how can she, in a positive way, manipulate, motivate, inspire, manipulate her husband to have her husband give her exactly what she wants. Now again,
so because you know her, and of course her husband, because, well, he's the wizard, so give her something, a tactical tool that she can walk away from today, specifically designed, Nancy-like.
I always like when Lou does this. I'm like, oh my gracious. I'm dropping that because I don't want to hit him. So Nancy has a journal, okay? So I thought that I was clear in my direction with Nancy. But, all of our listeners, they're getting it. They're like, is Lou stupid? He's not stupid. He's faking it. He's trying to speak to all of your friends, who are stupid. But you don't want to tell them that because then you might not have any friends left anymore. So what Nancy should do is Nancy should go ahead and take her journal and she should write down, this is what I want. This is what I want in my marriage. So it's concrete. It's tactile. It's like this, and list it all out.
So when she lists these things, does she want to do it
everything,
physically, monetarily, emotionally?
Everything. Anything she wants. Everything she wants.
Everything she wants.
Everything.
Line it all out.
All of
Let's say there's 15 things. Maybe more. Maybe less.
She's a woman. There's 50.
There's 50 things on this list. She's going to have a woman of 50,
right.
1,500 possibly.
Right.
All right. So first of all, she might have a writing cramp. Get that Band-Aid, put it right here for the blister that she'll have when she's writing. But back to that. So because you're married, she's married to a guy, obviously. So since you're married, because you mentioned his name was Alan. So since she's married to this guy, and guys don't think 15,000 things, how does she dumb that list down so that guys can pick this up?
She doesn't dumb it down. It's not for Alan. The list is not for Alan.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so it's for her. So you just say, go nuts. Women,
right.
Women right until you're blue in the face.
Right.
Okay, so now that she's got this list, that 1,500, did you say?
Uh-huh.
So she, like a scroll, probably a wizard-like scroll. I don't know if it has the brass things on it. It scrolls down and goes across the floor. So then she says, look, Alan, and it looks like a sheet from a bed.
No, I didn't say show Alan.
You don't show Alan.
I don't care.
Well, you don't show.
Probably
Wait,
not.
she keeps the list for herself.
Right.
All right, so now what does she do now that she's got this list?
Then she top grades it.
She top grades it. Top grades it?
Uh-huh.
What's top grading?
She has 1,500 things. What's the thing that's the most important to her? What's the number one thing that's most important to her?
So now she's got a list of 1,500. I would do this on a computer so you can cut and paste and then make it up.
There's something psychological about writing it down.
Like I said, don't put it on your computer. Make sure you write it down and then rewrite it. Because at this point, your list that you originally wrote for yourself will be so extinct, because you'll probably be extinct yourself with 1,500 on the list, then it won't even matter. Is that accurate?
No, not with a woman, it's not.
How would you do this, Nancy? I'm curious.
Like, she's fine.
Go ahead, Nancy. Did this help you that you're gonna write your list
Sure
down?
did, absolutely.
I'm just curious, being a guy, I'm trying to be in Alan's shoes for a moment, and really, if we're in Alan's shoes, we get where you wanna be. So,
It's very similar to what I did with my life vision.
okay, so you're comfortable with this?
Absolutely.
So you'll do this, you'll write it down. I'm curious, are you gonna show it to Alan?
I don't know why I wouldn't.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Does he need to write a list too, or not really?
I think it would be important, yeah.
Yep, okay, so now Alan's got an assignment. Alan, if you're watching this,
Why?
now
You think she knows what she's doing?
what would the wizard do? Nancy, is what you should be asking.
Right.
Nancy, why not ask the wizard, because he's right here. What should I do with Alan? Wouldn't that be a question you'd want to know?
Yes, of course.
Okay, there we go, here we go.
Right. So, if you want to show Alan the list, fine. If you
Yeah.
don't, that's fine too. You know your husband, well. So most men would get, like, oh my gracious, this is so much, I can't handle it. Just go ahead and highlight the first one, top grade the first one. This is what it is. So I don't care if you show him or don't show him. It doesn't matter either way. In a way, it could, it doesn't. But then what you're looking for is that top one. And then
If he can get the top one, maybe.
no, it's
number
not him
two.
getting it, it's her getting it.
Ah,
So she wants this from Alan.
okay,
And then she needs to figure out, what do I need to go ahead and do to get this?
did you get that?
Yes.
Okay.
So if she does, so she says, okay, this is what I want. This is number one of the 1,500. And then this is what I need to do to get what I want from Alan. When she does all of this stuff, like all this stuff here, like all this stuff. She does all this to get one thing, and he doesn't do it. Then what does she do?
What does she? Well, she contacts the wizard.
Okay, that's a good option.
What else? What else do you do? Well, here's my thought. Nancy seems intelligent, so I get the feeling that if she's already writing this and she's comfortable writing all this, and she gets to number one, and then you see the list of things you need to do to get number one, I think she's going to be pretty successful.
No, she's not. It's not going to work, Lou.
Nancy, thoughts?
Why are you asking Nancy? She doesn't know anything
Do you
more
know
than
that
you
this
do.
isn't going to work?
I'm listening to the wizard.
Okay.
See, you can learn something from her. Like it's not going to work.
All right. So now that you know it's not going to work, how does she level her expectation?
She raises her expectation. She expects more from herself. Like, why isn't it going to work?
Okay, so
No, why isn't it going to work?
wizard, tell us.
Right. You got to ask the wizard all the time because the wizard knows all this stuff. Like,
Right.
So it's not going to work because
So
husbands are stupid.
Okay, that I get.
No, you don't. You
See,
get
I
it.
don't get it because I got it. So
You get it on a surface level, but you don't
I get it.
understand
I get it in this dimension.
Right,
But
you
we're
don't
at the wizard
you don't
dimension now.
understand it on a deep level. Why are men stupid? Why are husbands stupid?
Well, I guess you can.
It's in the second trimester. I'll give you a hint.
It's in the second trimester.
Right? Like, what do you do with your brain in your spare time? Like, you don't think through this stuff?
I watch car videos.
That explains it. That
Go
explains
back.
it.
Go back to as Nancy rolls her eyes and goes, "Such a man." All right. So Nancy, back to Nancy. So she's got her number one, 1,500 on her list. She's got
Second
number one.
trimester. It's key.
Go ahead. Give us the key.
So in the second trimester, in the womb, there is a chemical that's released in little baby boys that severs the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. So they become very dominant left or very dominant right. And so that's why girls tend to go ahead and be stronger at language, because language skills are both left and right brain. So they're connected. Where boys, they tend to be very either artistic or very mathematic, and so they're very strong left or very strong right. So every male is brain damaged in the second trimester. See, women know all of this intuitively, but they have no evidence for it until they talk to the wizard and they're like, oh my gracious. Now I understand that my husband's brain damaged, so now it makes it a lot easier.
Now, just speaking of brains, so and dimensions. So we're in this dimension as humans. You're way up there.
Right,
At,
I can-
at any dimension. You
Right,
can go below us,
I
or-
can think like a woman.
Right. So okay.
Totally.
So now we've got a woman here who's got 1,500 things on her list. Number 1 is checked off.
She works her tail off on it.
She's got a tail right off.
And it doesn't
Right
work.
off.
So what's her response? Her response is going to be to get excited. She's going to be like, oh my gracious, it doesn't work.
Just what you told her.
Right. Like the wizard. How does he know this is reducing the iterations to 7? She doesn't have to come back and talk to the wizard again because the wizard already knows what's going to happen before it happens because that's what wizards do.
So she writes this list. You gave her the advice. She's now got number 1 on there. She's got this whole list that she needs to do to get number 1. It's not going to work.
Right.
So how does Nancy fulfill life with that?
Well, that's easy. She gets more excited. She's like, oh my gracious, this is exciting. Like, because women like a challenge. Like, my husband's more brain dead than, he's more brain damaged than I thought he was. Like, this is really cool. Then she's going to have to really work hard. Really, really work hard and say, okay, she's going to have to go back. And then she's going to have to go ahead and ask herself, like, I messed up something. She has to take ownership of what she wants in the marriage.
Got it.
So then she's going to go ahead and think, how could he not get this?
Right.
Then she's going to think, did I show him the list? And if she did show him the list, he's not going to get it. Why not?
Because he's a guy.
Because there's 1,500 things.
Yeah.
And so she probably shouldn't show him 1,500. She just should show him 1. Or
Freak him
she
right
could
out.
show him 1,500 and say, honey, I'm just watching. I just want 1 from you. So if she says, this is what I want from you. Now he's clear, this is what I want. But we don't tell people what we want. Like, that's stupid.
Is it stupid or should we be telling?
We should tell them.
Okay.
Like, why don't we tell people?
So it's stupid that we don't tell.
It's stupid that we don't tell people.
Got it.
Why don't we tell them?
Why?
Well, it's simple because if somebody rejects us and doesn't do what we want them to do, like, you guys don't think about this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so she's thinking about this.
Yeah, I'm not thinking.
Yeah, right. She's a woman. She's thinking about
Yeah.
this. She's like, how come this doesn't work? Like, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, but it does make sense. And so if she doesn't tell her husband what she wants, then she can go ahead. When she doesn't get it, then she can go ahead and say, he doesn't know what I want, so she can rationalize it in her own mind why he's not doing it. But that doesn't work, because then she gets upset with him about other types of things, and then it creates more confusion, because she's upset about this, but she's not really upset about that. She's upset about this. And she creates confusion. She can't track everything that's going on in her brain and in her heart. So she goes ahead and she says, Alan, this is what I want. This is why it's 3 times the font and it's highlighted. You don't need to worry about these 1,499 things. All I want is this. Now, Alan, do you understand what this means? Because he probably doesn't. Why?
Because he's a guy.
And he's brain damaged in a second, so it's like, okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Or he's a different personality. So she needs to make sure that she's clearly communicating, what do I want?
Nancy, do you have any further questions for the wizard?
Well, of course she does. And so,
on this topic.
right. No. So what she needs to do is she needs to show him all of the work she's doing to get him to do this. So he needs to be clear on what she wants. She needs to show him all the work that she's doing. Now, it may sound like this is a lot of work. But it is until you get good at it, until she gets good at it, her husband gets good at it. So she eventually won't have to do all of this. He eventually is going to get, so they're going to be in sync eventually. Now, this just talked about the human, not the other. Like you at the beginning said.
Yeah, dimensional.
So the dimensional, like if you're talking about another dimension, the advice, like when we talk dimensional thinking, what works in one dimension doesn't work in another dimension.
So in other words, that was Nancy's question here.
At a human level. But there's another level beyond human.
And Nancy, your question again was
Human. Oh,
marriage.
right, that was my question.
Go ahead.
Right.
Just ask the question while we're wrapping up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
How do I have a great marriage? I'll keep her on track. So here's the how to have a great marriage. That's in the human dimension. Then we've got the wizard dimension. So I don't want to open up the total can of worms, but
Next time she comes out.
in 50 words or less, when we go to the wizard dimension, how did you get wizard girl? That's one word.
It's doing all of that.
Doing all of that and
then switching it all over into making it all about her and her life vision and why she was put on this planet.
so you write your own list as a wizard, then she writes a list as a wizardess.
Right? It's like flipping. Like, is it more important? Like, do I have a real strong vision in my life? I do. Am I willing to put her life vision above mine? Am I willing to put her above mine? Am I willing to do that?
And that's how the wizard does it. Many, many kids in the wizard's house. That's how you do it. And with that, Nancy,
Yes.
what a treat to have you on.
Thank you.
So nice to have you with the wizard. And if you like what you see, read the bottom in the text. You can see the wizardslife.com.
The Wizard's Lifetime.
Wizardslife.com. Hit that like button. If you don't like it, stick around because you should. Because if you don't like it, it probably means you need to improve. We'll see you next episode.